Hi, my name is Steve. You might know me from my
Microjig, maker of the gripper.
Yeah, for years that disembodied voice kept interrupting my
Work safer, work smarter.
But did you know that Microjig and I started working together all the way back in 2011?
Let me show you a little bit more about the gripper.
But what if I were to reveal to you a revolution in gripper technology, an innovation so innovative that you'll really like it. And it's called, but before I get to that, let's talk for a minute about shop safety. Oh, all right, it's the Gripper 2GO. Look, everyone knows I'm as manly as any manly man that ever existed. But putting your fingers near a 4,000 RPM spinning blade is as risky as playing with my Aunt Karen's yappy Pomeranian who's got anxiety issues. Sooner or later, you're gonna get nipped. So a push stick is definitely a step up from just using your fingers, but it's not the best option. The Microjig gripper is a far superior, much safer way to control a workpiece because of this green grippy stuff that grabs the wood. Plus, the gripper provides 3 directions of control: downward, inward, and forward, all the while acting like a mobile blade guard, keeping your fingers from the blade. This level of control gives me better, cleaner, more accurate cuts. So why do I find myself reaching for my Gripper 2GO more and more often? Honestly, it's never gonna replace my fancy pants gripper. The classic gripper has just so many adjustments that I need for so many types of cuts. But for a lot of cuts, the Gripper 2GO is just faster and handier. The key is the way that it's reversible with these offset legs. You just find which direction is appropriate for the board you're cutting, which way will support both the workpiece and the cutoff through the entire cut. To make this really easy, the Gripper 2GO comes with this color-coded index sticker that you could stick right to the scale of your saw. Okay, so my saw is really old and the scale has all turned yellow. So you won't be able to see the colors as good as they would look on your scale, which is probably nice and pristine white. But anyways, you'll get the idea. Yeah, work with me here. So let's say I need to rip a board to that width. The index puts that cut in the green zone. And that tells me to put the corresponding green facing me. There's also an arrow here that indicates that needs to be towards the fence. Now I can be assured that all 3 legs will be in contact with the workpiece and I won't be cutting into any of the legs. The Gripper 2GO can rip boards as narrow as 5/16 of an inch. You might be tempted to use this notched out step area on the Gripper 2GO to make that thin strip, but don't do that because that strip will be unsupported. But Steve, you wizard of wood, you ask, what if I need to rip a really long board? Well, that's just a darn good question. So, a single Gripper 2GO works great for boards that are 12 inches long or shorter. But if you need to rip a longer board, you just get 2 Grippers 2GO and you just leapfrog them hand over hand to get the perfect cut. Also, the Gripper 2GO is fully compatible with Microjig's match fit hardware. One thing I like to do to get even more control of my wood, and really, who doesn't want more control of their wood, is to attach a sacrificial cleat to the rear to help push the board forward. The Gripper 2GO is great for controlling workpieces on your router table. The Gripper 2GO also works great on a bandsaw or on a jointer. That's what those operations would look like if I had a jointer and a bandsaw. Ultimately, I'm still a huge fan of the versatility of the full-figured plus-sized gripper, but it needs to be set up for every cut. I love how quick and easy it is to just grab the Gripper 2GO for so many common cuts. Plus, the Gripper 2GO is offered at a much lower price point. Finally, I want to take a moment to thank viewers of Woodworking for Mere Mortals who have always been on board with the long-standing relationship I've had with Microjig. Look, I support their products because I believe in them. Do yourself a favor and get a couple of Grippers 2GO. Gripper 2GOs. I promise you'll love them.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jennifer. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the brand new Gripper 2GO. This is a new addition to the Microjig family. Built using the same concept as the full gripper, it's smaller than 2.5 inches wide and has 3 fixed legs that are staggered. You have the ability to flip it around for more options. It comes with a color-coded index sticker that goes on the scale of your rip fence. When you go to cut, look for what color is underneath the indicator. That color is repeated on the ends of the gripper and whatever color that is should go facing the user. This is a safer alternative than a typical push stick because it protects your fingers and keeps them up and away from the blade. You're able to apply pressure on your workpiece and gain better control. Here's a close-up look at the green grip material, and I do want to point out that it comes pre-assembled, so you just take it out of the box, it's ready to go. Because this is made to cut narrow strips as narrow as 5/16, this gripper is to be placed alongside of your rip fence, and it glides along when you're pushing your material through and cutting. You can use 2 grippers at a time for longer pieces.
Sometimes you don't need all the bells and whistles when you're making a rip cut. You just need this. Microjig recently introduced a new push block for the table saw. It's called the GRR-RIPPER 2GO. It's designed for doing rip cuts at 90 degrees with a standard table saw blade. Has some of the same features as the gripper. It's yellow, high density plastic, has high friction rubber feet to grip the workpiece. The thing that's different is these legs are all fixed. So how does that work? It's all about those color coding labels. So what you'll do is you'll install a color coded label on your table saw scale. You match that color to the color on the push block, and you're ready to rip. So say for example, I want to rip something at 1 inch. I'm going to set it up at 1 inch. You can see that that's an orange label. So I want the orange label nearest me, and I'm ready to rip. And as you can see, that's going to clear that blade. Well, what if you want to rip at 2 1/4 inches? So I set it at 2 1/4 inches. It's a green stripe label now. So I'll bring my piece in. My block, I'm going to rotate that label so the green stripes are nearest me, and I'm ready to go. And again, you can see that's going to clear. It's designed to rip workpieces that are at least 2 inches in width, because you really want all 3 legs engaged on that workpiece. It's just that easy to use. And if all you have for a push block right now is the one that came with your table saw, this is definitely a major upgrade. And if you have a gripper, sometimes you don't need all those bells and whistles. You just want to grab and go. This is the ticket right here. It'll also work on your bandsaw, your jointer, or your router table, anywhere you need a push block.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the video channel, and I want to talk about safety. For me, it's the most important tool in your workshop. But what if there was a tool that took it to the next level? I found something that I think is going to fill that void. It's called the GRR-RIPPER 2GO. It's a safety push block that is engineered to protect your hands, right? It's going to improve precision, and it's going to change the way you cut. I think it really will, especially when you're doing small rips. Today we're going to dive into the features of this little guy and talk about why I think it's a game changer. So the Microjig GRR-RIPPER 2GO is a US engineered safety push block. It's designed for table saws. You can use it on a router table, bandsaw. It's built to protect your hands and fingers while enhancing precision and safety in your cuts. So there's a couple key features. Let's talk about those. Obviously, the most important feature is it's going to save your hands and fingers and keep them away from the blade. And you know, a moving blade, cutting small rips, we all know that's a dangerous cut. It's going to reduce that risk. Kickback prevention, that's another safety concern. It's going to eliminate kickback because you're able to secure that workpiece right down to the table and against the fence and catch it. It gives you a good grip. The third, I think, would be precision cutting. The precision legs on this, the spacing on the legs, it gives you a minimum cutting width of 5/16, 8 millimeters, and it's ideal for thin, accurate rips. So why this over a push stick? I've used a push stick for years. We make them. Push sticks and push blocks, we use it to protect our hands, right, on table saws. The goal of them is to protect your hands while controlling the stock on a thin rip. Well, push stocks can fail in a couple of ways. Most commonly, as that workpiece is being pushed with the push stick, it might come off the fence just enough to bind against both the blade and the fence, and that will result in a kickback. The Gripper 2GO addresses these issues and offers kind of superior control, and it does that with three features or three directions of force. The first would be the downward pressure when you're pushing down on a workpiece. That's going to stabilize it down flat against the table. The second would be inward pressure against the fence. This rides along the fence nice and smooth, and it's just going to, between those two forces, going to minimize that kickback. The third would be forward pressure, you feeding it through. The sticky grips on the bottom of this help you feed consistently and smoothly. Now, after using it, I was impressed when I started thinking, what else can I use this for in my shop? Well, the bandsaw came to mind, and maybe like resawing. Because you can slide it on the side like this, you could use it for resawing and feeding things through the blade and maybe minimizing some drifting. I think it's not designed for a bandsaw, but you could do it. The second would be the router table. So I have a built-in router table of the fence. I think this thing provides impressive grip when using with the router fence. But even if you were freehanding something, I think it would be great. It's going to keep your hands clear of spinning bits. The other one would be the joiner here, and I tried it on mine. It's excellent for holding stock flat on the face, the table of the joiner, and it's powerful grip. You can feel the material, just gripping the material, and it'll keep you up against the fence, but also give you that downward pressure. There's not much more to say on this. This is easy to use. Right out of the box, just pick it up and start using it. You just got to pay attention to your spacing. But if you prefer, it comes with a rip fence sticker that you can apply to your table saw. It's in the packaging, and it has a color-coded index that corresponds to the block. And the sticker just basically helps you visually ensure that you're setting the fence at the right space from the blade so you don't cut into your block. You can also just hold this up against the blade and make your adjustments visually on the fly as well. Ladies' choice on that one. I'll leave it to you. The tapered, staggered legs on this accommodate cuts from 5/16 up to 2 inches, and the blade passes between them. I've used it to make accurate 5/16, 8 millimeter rips on the table saw, and I immediately, when I did it, could feel the gripping power of this block. It's amazing how well the block actually grips when pushing. I also found that using 2 of these when feeding stock helped reduce burning and blade marks that we commonly get with inconsistent feed rates as you're feeding it through. As far as price, it's like $29.99, $30. I think it's a good value. And look, for $30, it's easily replaced if you cut into it or it gets worn out over time. Easy investment, no brainer for safety. I often talk about room for improvement. I don't really have anything to offer for improving other than I suggest you purchase 2 of these if you're thinking about this. I found that using 2 at a time, it gave me a faster feed rate, more control, and I felt safer because I could move my hands. Look, to conclude, I think the Gripper 2GO is an excellent safety tool for anyone working with power tools. Its user-friendly design, kickback prevention, and precise cutting capabilities make it a must-have for woodworkers or anybody that wants safety and accuracy with power tools. Whether you're cutting small parts and thin materials, it's just going to be a safer, smoother experience. And until you try it, you really won't understand what I'm talking about by the actual grip that this provides. It's truly a game changer.
The Gripper 2GO is a true Microjig innovation, and it's part of our Gripper 3D push block line. It's a simple push block designed to help protect you from injury and give you better quality cuts than push sticks or featherboards can. The 2GO requires no assembly or setup to use on your table saw, router table, bandsaw, or jointer. And while it's simple enough for you to understand right away, it does have some features and uses that we'll show you in this instructional video. So let's get started. To use your saw safely, make sure that it's set up according to your owner's manual. Make sure that the blade is always clean and sharp, and it should be parallel to both the miter slot and the rip fence. Eye protection and hearing protection are always to be worn in the shop. And make sure that your clothing isn't dangling or hanging low that could get caught in bits and blades. Long sleeves should be rolled, and dangling jewelry should be avoided. And of course, we never wear gloves when working with power tools. Finally, learn to stand outside of the kickback zone to keep yourself safe should something go wrong. It's easy to learn how to use your saw safely. Push sticks only work on the inside corner of the stock, leaving it free to move away from the rip fence during cutting. This can also lead to dangerous kickback. The 2GO uses Microjig's green grip material to hold the stock from the top, allowing the blade to pass underneath during cuts less than 2.5 inches wide. It controls both the rip side and the off-fall side of your stock, so they pass by the back of the blade without rubbing. This greatly reduces the risk of kickback and leaves you with a cleaner cut. The 2GO comes assembled and ready to make the first cut. It's a single piece, so there's no setup needed between cuts. For safety, the 2GO must always guide along the rip fence when cutting. If the blade is in the path of one of the legs, simply turn the 2GO around and you can make the cut. The offset face shifts the legs to pass by the blade. The gripper 2GO can rip stock as narrow as 5/16 of an inch. Just be sure to check that your saw's throat plate will support the narrow part being cut and not let it fall into the blade opening. The gripper 2GO can be set up to rip any width without cutting into the legs. But we've made it so you don't even need to look to see if the leg will be in the blade path. Our patented color-coded index system instantly shows you which way to orient your 2GO to avoid blade contact. Peel the color-coded index sticker off the inside of the 2GO sleeve and apply it directly over the rip fence scale on your saw. Be sure to align the transparent sticker to the 0 mark and either the 2.5 or 70 millimeter mark on your scale. The transparent sticker works with both inch and metric scales and can be trimmed if needed to fit your saw. Now, every time you set your rip fence, the cursor will automatically show you which side of the 2GO must be against the fence. Just make sure that whatever color is under the rip fence cursor is facing you on the gripper 2GO when you set for the cut. From 5/16 to 3/4, the green square is under the cursor and should be facing you on the back of the 2GO. Between 3/4 and 1 3/16, the orange square is under the cursor, so should be facing you on the 2GO. 1 3/16 to 1 5/8, the yellow square will be under the cursor and facing you. And the blue squares should be showing in both locations for any cuts from 1 5/8 to 2 1/8. With any cut wider than 2 1/8 inches, the cursor will be above or past the green stripes and the legs of your gripper 2GO. All 3 legs of your gripper 2GO should be on top of the stock as you work. This generally means ripping stock that is 2 1/8 or wider only. For narrower parts, a scrap piece with the same thickness as the stock being cut can be used under the outer leg of the 2GO. The gripper 2GO works best when held properly, with your hand wrapped around the rear half of the handle. We've molded 4 points into the handle to help guide your grip. Set your thumb into one of the forward dimples in the handle, rest your palm on the curved portion, then wrap your fingers around and under the handle. The system works left or right-handed. 2 gripper 2GOs can be used with a hand-over-hand technique, to provide a single, smooth cut on boards 12 inches long or longer. This technique works with longer stock on all of your machines. At the router table, the Gripper 2GO provides excellent holding of your parts while keeping your hands away from the cutting area. And in cases where the bit's exposed, the 2GO can be positioned to bypass the cutter without damage. The superior traction of our green grip material on the 2GO makes it ideal for use on the jointer and the bandsaw, guiding your stocks securely and safely. The Gripper 2GO includes 4 molded-in dovetail grooves to work with our match-fit dovetail system. These allow for all sorts of custom, shop-made accessories to be easily attached to the 2GO. Microjig's Gripper 2GO is the perfect push block for the new table saw owner or the contractor on the job site. It's intuitive, easy to use, and ready to go when you need it. And when you're ready, our line of grippers and accessories are there to help you work safer and work smarter than any other system you can buy. Find out more at your local retailer or microjig.com.
This is the Gripper 2GO from Microjig. This is their newest push block. It has no moving parts, it's pretty lightweight, and it comes assembled as you see here. The original gripper here has everything that you customize. The handle, this extra stabilizer here, a hook, even the center gripper here can be moved back and forth. But for me, I think when I gotten everything set here, I never really moved it again. So for some people, the customization might be great, but I think the value in this new one might be interesting for a lot of people. What's really interesting is it has this color-coded system on either side for thin cuts. So you put the sticker on your table saw, and let's say I want to cut something at 2 1/4 here. It shows me that it's the green stripes. So I put the green stripes towards me against the fence, and as you can see, it doesn't catch.
Gripper 2GO comes with a little sticker that you stick right on top of the scale on your table saw. What that does is give you a visual guide when you set your table saw, and then you look at the scale that's on the gripper, which one of those are going to correspond to where the blade's at. In other words, it's going to tell you whether or not you've got clearance there so you don't cut your push block. For instance, you can see exactly what color it is there. When you come over here, if I've got it this way, it says no cut. Because of that color, if I was to try to cut there, the blade is going to cut into the bottom of that push block. However, if I turn this around, now we got corresponding colors, and I know with just a glance that that will clear the blade every time.
The Microjig Gripper 2GO is a must-have for me over at the table saw for keeping these fingers safe because it grips the wood and allows me to apply pressure in 3 different directions: downward, against the fence, and forward, giving you full control of the workpiece. In the package, it comes with this color-coded index that you can apply to the scale of the table saw so that when you're making rip cuts, just look at the color on the index sticker and make sure that the corresponding color on the push block is facing you and make the cut. And I also love to use the Microjig gripper over at the router table for smaller projects to keep my hands away from those dangerous cutting tools. Yeah, so check these out. I think you're really gonna love them.
I know most of you have probably heard of the Microjig gripper and you probably even have one, but have you heard about their new Gripper 2GO? This one is color-coded. It's a little bit more compact, but it's still got the green grip on the bottom that is going to not only grip your workpiece, but your offcut as well. So let's open it up and check it out. The first thing you're going to notice when you open your gripper is going to be these color blocks at the top and bottom. These are going to coordinate with the color index that's on the packaging. This piece right here is just going to pull off and you're going to adhere it to your table saw on top of your tape measure. This color-coded system is going to ensure that no matter what size material you're cutting, if you line up the color block on your Microjig gripper with the color block on your table saw, you're never going to cut through your grips like I did here. You can see here how the legs on the gripper straddle the blade so you have maximum control of both your workpiece and your offcut. You can pick up your own Gripper 2GO at select Central Florida Home Depot locations and online at homedepot.com.
This is the Gripper 2GO by Microjig, a tool I've been using to protect my hands while working on the table saw. Its three-legged design applies pressure in 3 directions for maximum stability, and the signature green grip gives you powerful control over your cuts. It also features a clever color-coded system for setting up thin rip cuts. Just adjust your fence, note the color, and position the matching handle side closest to you, creating the perfect gap for the blade to pass through safely. You can find the Gripper 2GO at select Central Florida Home Depots and online at homedepot.com.
Microjig gripper is a far superior, much safer way to control a workpiece because of this green grippy stuff that grabs the wood. Plus, the gripper provides 3 directions of control: downward, inward, and forward, all the while acting like a mobile blade guard, keeping your fingers from the blade. The Gripper 2GO comes with this color-coded index sticker that you can stick right to the scale of your saw. So let's say I need to rip a board to that width. The index puts that cut in the green zone, and that tells me to put the corresponding green facing me. There's also an arrow here that indicates that needs to be towards the fence. Now I can be assured that all 3 legs will be in contact with the workpiece, and I won't be cutting into any of the legs. But if you need to rip a longer board, you just get 2 Grippers 2GO and you just leapfrog them hand over hand to get the perfect cut. Do yourself a favor and get a couple of Grippers 2GO. I promise you'll love them.
The original Microjig gripper has a little brother, the Gripper 2GO. Microjig sent me this after seeing how beat up my gripper pad was on the old one after many years of use. I love the form factor as it's smaller and it gives me just the features that I need to make narrow cuts up against the fence. Here you can use it as a traditional push stick, but they added this color gauge that attaches to your fence and it corresponds to the color gauge on the Gripper 2GO. This keeps the rubber feet away from the blade, which keeps them from getting destroyed during the cut. This will for sure give me many more years of use.
If we're in the middle of a cut and something goes dreadfully wrong, my hand is nowhere near the blade. Gripper 2GO is going to take the damage and not my fingers. It's all about safety, it's all about performance and control, but you're also going to get a better cut while you do it.
If something goes unexpected and I don't have control or there's an issue with the saw, the gripper takes the damage and not my hands. Even if I cut into the gripper, I'm still able to maintain control of the material and make and advance the cut. What's also great about when I cut into the gripper is that if I'm working with a saw stop, for instance, it's not going to trigger that blade cartridge from damaging my saw blade or my blade cartridge, saving time and money. What's also amazing about it is that I get much better control because I've got this powerful grip that's controlling both the keeper and the offcut as I'm making the cut. Now, if I was trying to cut something small like this and use a push stick, what's not so good about this is I don't really have much control because the material wants to move away from the fence. And that's because you're only pushing in one direction. So that's why we don't use push sticks anymore, because we need much greater control top down and against the fence all the way through the cut. Now what you'll notice there is that I get a much more cleaner cut as I'm making that rip because I'm not letting the wood dance in between the fence and the saw blade, chattering or leaving material right by the rear end of the saw blade to catch those rising teeth and kick back at the operator. I'm controlling it all the way through the cut, getting cleaner, more precise, and most importantly, more safe cuts. As I like to say, green sawdust is better than red sawdust, and the Gripper 2GO here is to keep you protected at the saw. Thanks. The issue we have with push sticks and featherboards is they don't really give you much control when it comes to operating the material. You can only really also use a featherboard on the front side of the saw blade. You can't use one next to the saw blade, and you can't use one behind the saw blade because you run the risk of pinching and binding up on that material, causing potential kickback. Some people still like to use their fingers. But again, if anything happens to this material, it moves out of the way, your hands into the blade. Now this is where the Gripper to Go really shines. It comes with a very powerful green grip material that allows you to control the material exactly where you want it to go, all the way through the cut and wherever you need it to move. Because it comes with a saw blade tunnel. The saw blade tunnel allows you to control both the keeper piece and the offcut piece throughout the entire length of the cut. That saw blade passes through the tunnel. We have a 5/16 inch leg here that allows you to rip razor thin cuts here safely and accurately. It's extremely easy to use. We slide that just a little bit above the blade and we make our cut. The result is much cleaner, more accurate, smoother cuts. We have the color-coded system here. This color-coded system references a sticker that we provide for your rip saw fence. Right now I'm here set in the green zone, making a 5/16 inch of a rip. So all I need to have that green marker pointing towards me, and now I know that I'm not gonna cut into my tool. Slide it to guide it, grip it to rip it. And if I'm holding it over here and anything happens to this material, my hand is to the blade and it's too exposed. Now, the other way people like to do it is they end up using a push stick to help keep that distance. The problem with the push stick is that it doesn't really provide much control. It only pushes from the back. Once I start to push it, you can see that that pivot point automatically starts to move. And I can't push it really from this direction because I don't want to push it to the blade on the other side either. So this could catch those rear rising teeth and kick back at the operator, which is also a really dangerous proposition. That's why we don't use these anymore. What we do is we upgrade our game here with the Gripper to Go by Microjig. So it has a powerful grip that allows you to grip and hold and control the material all the way through the cut. What you'll also notice that's unique about the Gripper to Go is these saw blade tunnels. The saw blade tunnel allows the saw blade to pass through, so it allows you to control both the keeper and the offcut all the way through the cut. Huge advantage because now not only am I controlling the material, my hand is protected from the saw blade, but I'm also controlling small material and both sides of the cut to advance that cut all the way through. It's really easy to use. I slide my wood up against the fence so it's flush. So same with the gripper. I slide it to guide it along the fence and I grip it to rip it.
So the Gripper to Go is our 3D push block that's designed to keep your hands away from the bits and blades that want to hurt you. When you use a push stick, the problem is that pushing from this back corner or even from over here, it wants to move the board away from the fence. So when you do your rip cut and you see those tool marks along your rip cut, that's from the back side of the blade, not the front. We're going to solve that problem with the gripper. We've created a tunnel that's going to go, the blade's going to go under my gripper. I'm going to hold both the rip and the off-fall side straight through the blade, not allowing it to connect or rub back here. We're going to get cleaner cuts, but we're also going to reduce the opportunity for one of these teeth to catch my part and kick it back out at me. And notice that the gripper gives me a level of control where I was able to bring my parts back around to the front of the blade. I'm not touching the blade there or reaching across it, and I get really good quality cuts without having to risk my fingers.
Hey, Mac Blaze here. Even with this incredible gripper grip, sometimes in your shop things are going to get dirty and your grip's going to decrease a little bit. You got to have a little bit of slippage. So you just take a little bit of this isopropyl alcohol, give a couple spritzes directly to the applicator pads, take your cloth or your brush. You're going to want to run vertical a couple of times and some horizontal ones through those little ruts. Get out all that gunk in just a couple of seconds. You are good to go.
Now what you notice there is that even if I cut into the gripper to go, the gripper takes the damage, not my hands. Even when you are cutting into, let's say, your saw stop here, it's not going to trigger that flesh detecting technology that will make and damage the blade because that blade cartridge will ignite, bring the saw blade down, and it's much easier to replace one of these than it is your saw setup here. We actually designed the gripper to go so you don't cut into it, and that's really where this color-coded system is here and that saw blade tunnel. So the saw blade tunnel allows us to control both the keeper and the offcut when we're making the cut. What we've done is we've added a color-coded sticker that goes right here onto your rip fence. So that comes with the Gripper to Go. And you'll notice these different color marks. That corresponds with the color that's directly on the Gripper to Go. So if I'm in the green zone here, which I am, I'm making a 5/16 inch rip, all I need to do is make sure that green is pointing towards me, and I know that the saw blade is gonna pass through that tunnel without cutting into the tool.
A Microjig gripper is a far superior, much safer way to control a workpiece.
This is definitely a major upgrade.
You're able to apply pressure on your workpiece and gain better control.
One of my favorite push blocks I've ever had. Comes with a little sticker that you stick right on top of the scale.
You can see that that's an orange label, so I want the orange nearest me, and I'm ready to rip.
I think that's pretty genius that they come up with the color code I did. You can also use these push blocks at the jointer or the bandsaw or the router table. Anywhere you use a normal push block, these work.
Microjig's Gripper to Go is there to protect you and provide superior cut quality.